In a few moments, I'll be showing some clips and making some replies. To the great and all-wise, and so typically neurotypical, Sargon of Akkad. I realize that by doing so, this channel will be hit by many of his defenders. They will say things such as, insults cannot be given, they can only be received. They will say such things as, wow, you obviously are autistic. Or, how retarded I am, because I just don't get his humor. Will I be concerned? No. Will I care that thousands of his fan base will do these things for days? No. I don't care. Insults can be given. They can be given when they are targeted at specific groups or individuals with the intent of being insulting. Do I currently feel insulted? No, I do not. A lie, you think? It isn't. Sargon, great and also wise, so well read, so knowledgeable about the world and everything within it, is not. For he has failed to realize that the autistic don't sit back and just say, sure, please insult who I am because I am incapable of defending myself. I'm quite capable.
We're going to be talking about autism.
Or as I like to call it, Sargon's straw man of autism.
Specifically, women's levels of autism and how they are significantly underdiagnosed.
A topic which I myself have addressed. In fact, for the very purposes you are doing so now. You seem to think that autistics are fine with the Tumblrites who wish to claim themselves to be autistic. And therefore, you've decided, apparently, to go after both groups, without even considering the fact that one group has a real condition and the other is an ideology of victimhood. Or is it rather something more malicious, considering that this isn't the first time that you've made the comparison?
And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, okay, how many casualties of autism are there every year?
I'm afraid that you don't know what I'm thinking. And the number of casualties of autism is 0. The very reason why SJWs, Tumblrites, and feminists are so willing to claim to have the condition. The very thing which I have debunked and pointed out on several occasions.
What is the body count? The final number? And the answer is, of course, millions.
How very dramatic. Of course, the correct answer is 0. Once you remove the numbers killed by poisonous miracle cures, the crushings of teachers and caregivers, those who are beat to death by those who wish to feel strong in their weakness, and of course, the ones who are killed by the very people who brought them into this world. But of course, none of those were Tumblrites looking for easy victimhood, as you wish your straw man to suggest.
But we don't know exactly how many, because autism in women is significantly underdiagnosed. While we know that millions of women every year die from autism, we don't know how many because, of course, the patriarchy only focuses on men.
I myself have dealt with this argument recently. The one thing I didn't do while dealing with this false narrative of persecution that, of course, the feminists love was to shit on all autistics, or conflate the two.
I'm going to level with you and give you the absolute truth of the matter. Autism is a feminist issue.
Ha ha ha. You so funny. No, really. Stereotyping and public misunderstanding is an autistic issue, one which you are happily expanding. As far as feminism goes, most autistics are in complete disagreement with the ideology. Something you might have found out if you'd have taken, I don't know, 1 or 2 seconds to actually communicate with an autistic or two to find out what our position on feminism might be.
1 out of every 68 children today in the United States receives a diagnosis of autism, and of course, 1 out of 42 of them is male, and 100% of them have a Tumblr account.
The jokes just don't stop coming, do they? I don't have a Tumblr account, thank you very much. But of course, I think we can all guess that you just couldn't survive if you couldn't make the conflation between Tumblr victims and real autistics. Could you?
So, what symptoms or behaviours do autistic people display? There are 8 major signs of autism that you can identify in your friends, your family, your colleagues, your co-workers, perhaps even your business or your organisation, or even a social movement you happen to identify with.
So then it's kind of like neurotypical pinheadedness. I see.
The first is an extreme sensitivity to criticism.
Yes, the neurotypical pinhead is extremely concerned with what society has to say about them. Autistics do not concern themselves with what society says about them. It's part of our social dysfunction, in fact.
The second one is that you have rigid thinking. You think that things are either right or they are wrong.
For example, the neurotypical pinhead will think such things as their way of thinking is the only correct way of thinking, and any other way of thinking is verboten, even if that way of thinking is biologically based.
Number 3 is that you are easily distressed when things aren't right. Meltdowns, loss of control often happen.
Such moments of distress are easily observed, such as when a neurotypical pinhead will seek individuals or groups of others for which to have hours of meaningless small talk. In particularly desperate situations, they will seek out what they perceive to be an easy victim, and then attempt to use that victim to make themselves feel better. Often, they may perceive their attempt to feel better, at another's expense, as mere jest.
Number 4 is endless talking about or bulldogging a subject.
For example, viewing the world as if one single ideology is the only ideology that there is, to which criticism is deserved, to the point of considering all things to be somehow a part of that ideology, regardless of how unrelated some things may be to that particular ideology.
Number 5 follows on from number 4. If you are often highly intelligent but focused on a narrow field that can become an obsession, if you have dedicated your entire career to the one thing you talk about constantly on the internet,
such as social justice, feminism, and Tumblrism, and going to even such great lengths as to read all of the literature of this ideology.
Number 6. If you are socially challenged,
for example, if you claim to be an egalitarian, which by its nature requires that you promote the equality of all regardless of difference, and then pick a group with such a difference and conflate them with an ideology which does not have such an end goal.
Number 7. If you have little to no understanding about nuance and layers of meanings,
or if you're a neurotypical pinhead who can't distinguish the difference between a biologically distinct group of people and an ideology.
And number 8. If you have a lack of empathy for other people, perhaps based on their gender or sexuality or race,
or neurotype, you might be a neurotypical pinhead. And please do remember, insults can never be given. They can only be taken.